After the first weekend disaster at the box office, the Marvels somehow managed to find a way to continue to get worse. Another record-breaking weekend in the wrong way, with the biggest second weekend drop in history. But one thing that the mainstream media is refusing to blame this on are any of the people that are actually involved in the project. People like, the director, Nia DaCosta. The Marvels could be a box office flop, but it's not Nia DaCosta's fault. Yeah, it couldn't possibly be anything wrong with the movie. We couldn't criticize her. In fact, everyone is congratulating Nia DaCosta for having the biggest flop in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because she's a black woman. Literally, they're congratulating her for this because here it is. The Marvels had the highest box office opening for a movie by a black female director at 110 million worldwide. Congratulations on having the highest grossing movie opening weekend at the box office for a black female director. It is the biggest flop in Marvel history. You also want that attached to your name because of the color of your skin and because you're fucking genitalia? Are you kidding me right now? What an absolute joke. But there's someone else who's very happy with the movie and the makeup of the movie and wants diversity to be at the forefront of everything. That's what's most important. Not a movie being good, not about it being well written, not about it being well received by an audience, not about it making money, certainly, but instead, we have to praise the diversity. And that, of course, is Dar-Ben, the race swap, gender swap villain Dar-Ben. Zoe, I think it's Zoe Ashton, I don't even know how to say her name, who plays the villain in the Marvels, speaks out about the importance of having a diverse cast. Of course, let's praise representation as the focus on inclusivity and diversity and representation ahead of story is literally what got us to this point in the MCU. She plays the villain in the Marvels, speaks out about the importance of having a diverse cast. The representation of the Marvels extended to its antagonists along with its three leads, and Ashton has addressed how meaningful it was to be a part of that. With her role as the supervillain Dar-Ben, who was a man in the comics, Ashton stars opposite Brie Larson, Iman Vellani, and Teyonah Parris as the titular trio. For a recent appearance on Tamron Hall's show, Ashton spoke about her casting and the film's incredible representation of women. Referring to her own role as Dar-Ben, she noted how important it was to include diversity with the villain roles just as much as the heroes. Ashton also commented on how she never would have seen something like the movie poster for the Marvels in her youth. And she's happy that things are different with today's generation. Let's read this whole quote from her. I think people think with success comes some key to the door of freedom in some way. But actually for me, I just feel so blessed to be at the point in my life where self-work, self-healing, self-love is the only key to anything. Being in this film that you can see is inclusive of this incredible representation of women in this film from hero to villain. And I think that's always really important. It's great to see representation within the people in the movie whose arc you like, or is like, very heroic, but it's also nice to have a contrast, to have the people who aren't so likable, So there's a lot of inner child healing that has to come from being in this film because there's a little girl. When I saw these posters, there wasn't that same representation. Well, congratulations. I'm glad that this movie poster has so much representation on it. Not a single white man on the entire thing. Brie Larson's the only white person there right at the forefront. I'm glad you feel represented, that you can see yourself and everybody can see a diverse poster like this. Unfortunately, until the end of time, what this poster is going to mean to the vast majority of normal people out there is abject failure. A movie that is the worst of the worst, that had the worst record for opening weekend, and when it's all said and done, entire box office run in the 15-year history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I guess it could always get worse, but for right now, this is the worst. And because you continue to have people that are only focused on the things that she just mentioned, on skin color, on gender, all these things, instead of putting entertaining an audience and telling compelling stories first and foremost, this is why we're here. All these reasons that you just talked about, all this surface level pandering bullshit. It's not what audiences want. Audiences want great stories, regardless of the gender. So just because you virtue signal and put a bunch of diverse women on screen, it's not going to matter if it's a pile of shit. And absolutely, this thing was a steaming pile of shit, but at least it was a diverse pile of shit.